Yeah, everything checks out. So,
All right.
we ready to do this?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Everyone up. Well,
Congratulations, you've just encountered language.
what is this language you speak of?
It, it appears that you're trying to form a coherent sentence. Would you like help with that?
I might as well just pick up this bottle of whiskey since I'm this far off.
Oh, God.
At least be able to use alcohol as an excuse. Okay, let's try. I don't know. I'm half tempted to just leave that in the show. That's how I start the show from now on.
That's. Yeah.
I'll
I'll leave
start
that as a decision up to you.
from now on. I'll just go episode 9, gabecast, Argus. That'll be the intro.
Okay.
No, it won't be. But it'd be funny if I did it and if everybody that was listening got it and just went along. Anyway, I won't do that. Okay, we'll do this again.
For real this time.
Yes. See. Hello, everyone. You are listening to the Video Gabecast, episode 9. I'm your host, Gabriel Hazim. Joining me once again is Argus.
Now with 30% less technical difficulties.
Yes, just 30%.
We
um,
make no promises.
Also, when recording a podcast, this is your advice, your tips, your podcasting tips from my mouth. Make sure your mic isn't muted. It
Oh,
always
God,
helps
yes.
recording quality if you're not muted. No.
Also helps if you don't record yourself and also everyone else
Mm-hmm.
twice. That's. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of, when that happened, it was like, fuck it, we're not going to re-record this podcast. So,
It's a 2-hour podcast.
yeah, we weren't going to do it over. No.
No.
Um, and whatever, all 30 people that download this podcast will be very disappointed, I'm sure. Um, but at any rate, this week, well, let's just jump into what we've been playing because I honestly did not look up any news.
Oh, I got one thing for
Okay.
news. It's sort of news. Titanfall. We talked about
Oh
Titanfall
yeah,
before.
my brother was showing me gameplay for that.
Yeah, the gameplay for that looks fucking awesome.
It does. Do you think this will be now? Here's the thing: when people heard, obviously these are ex Infinity War guys, it's hard to not give them the Modern Warfare 1 bar. Like when Modern Warfare 1 happened,
Yeah, the
like it or
campaign
not.
for Modern Warfare 1 still stands as one of my favorite modern military shooters. It's one of the only things I actually like. Like that and Spec Ops: The Line are the only modern military shooters that I will willingly play.
Well, and the way they progressively unlocked weapons in the game was like no one else had done it that well. Um, quite
It
like
does
them.
look like that's kind of what they're going for, although in the beta there's nothing to unlock.
Okay.
In in the beta you have everything available. Um, but yeah, there are a few things that I think they could probably stand to fix. You're obviously the focus of the game is the Titans, but everybody gets a Titan 4 minutes in, and you get
Yeah,
you get it faster if you murder people, but everybody's going to get them about the same time.
but killing a Titan without a Titan is still not that hard to do,
Yeah,
which
which
is
I think is
good.
really interesting because, like, it basically, and a lot of people are comparing Titanfall to MOBA games like League of Legends or Dota, and I think that's an apt comparison because the Titans, when Titanfall happens, when they drop them all in, that's about when everybody hits level 6 and gets their ultimate.
Yeah,
It's a new tactical edge, but it's not going to win you the game just by being there. And I think that's a cool design choice.
yeah, those kill streak rewards in those Call of Duty games, almost all of the Call of Duty games, are just almost like an I win button, you know?
Yeah. Whereas here, your kill streak will get you where you're going faster, but everyone else will get there too.
Yeah.
Did you see the burn cards?
No, I didn't. I actually didn't. I watched some gameplay, but not.
Yeah. I watched a longer discussion on it, but the after every game, yeah, depending on like what challenges you completed in game, you'll get a number of these things called burn cards, and you have an inventory of them out of, in the matchmaking lobby that you can look through. And you can pick up to 3 of them for each match. When you spawn, you can pick one of the 3 cards you've selected and get a bonus for as long as you're alive.
Okay.
And when you die, the card is gone and you don't get it back.
Oh man, so you want to hold on to that like nothing else.
Yeah, so it incentivizes players playing defensively if they want to keep their bonus for longer, but at the same time, some of them are like really super aggressive things. Like they're a boost to a weapon, or you get your Titan faster. But if you get your Titan faster, people are going to be targeting you faster.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this really, I don't know if I like the way it works, in that you have to play games to get the cards. So if you're getting at least 3 cards per game, you'll always be refreshing your inventory. So you'll always have 3 more to put in next game. And I think that can lead to players exploring different play styles, and I really love that. I love any mechanic that incentivizes players to get outside their comfort zone.
Yeah, and it seems like this is not. I mean, it's not reinventing shooters in general, but they definitely are
It's
taking a different direction than Call of Duty. Thank goodness.
Yeah, it feels like they just took every good idea over the past decade and said, that, here, all of it, go.
Yeah, but
There's there's wall running and jetpacks, and you move so fucking fast.
and the wall
And
running's easy to do too.
and you can feel like a complete badass when you jump down and just pick off like 4 of the
Mhm.
random mooks, but then you also feel like an equal or perhaps greater badass when you get into a 3-minute running gunfight with one enemy pilot and maybe barely win. Like, and the Titans are awesome and they look cool and the maps look appropriately sprawling and vertical, so you get the full advantage of everything. And yeah, I really am looking forward to this game, in case that's not clear.
Is this game going to be on Steam?
No. It will be on Origin.
Oh
I know. I
no!
know. Ah.
Yeah, that's
It's
pretty
like,
annoying.
in the past, every time there was a game that was on Origin, my response was, fuck it, I'll buy it for the 360. I'm not going to download Origin.
But
But
now it's
now,
so ugly on 360.
but now it's, well, I don't really care about graphics that much, although I do care about controls.
Yeah.
But on 360, you could just plug in a mouse and keyboard.
You mean PC?
No.
Can you actually play with a mouse and keyboard on 360?
Some games.
Not many. Very not enough.
You could for Halo.
Could
I know
you?
that much at least.
Huh. Yeah, I never have tried. And Halo is the last game I'd bother because
Yeah.
it plays so well with the controller. It's like
But
I play Halo and I try to play other games, and I'm like, why does Halo play so much better than everything else?
it
Like,
really is smoother.
mhm.
And it's probably because you move faster.
Yeah, and headshots are less
Yeah.
important on the single player. I mean, they definitely help, but
But yeah, so in the past when it's like, don't want Origin, getting it for the 360. But now it's don't want Origin, gotta buy an X-Bone and encounter all the same problems of Origin.
are you getting an Xbone?
No.
Okay.
I don't do console gaming anymore. Like nothing has come out for just a console that I'm really excited about.
I think it'll eventually happen for me, but like by the time they get enough games, they'll be cheaper and there may even be a new model, so
Yeah, I fully expect them to pull another 360 where uh
ah!
where the the first wave of X Bones will, I don't know, explode.
Catch on fire, yeah.
Yeah, like the first, it was okay. The first wave of original Xboxes were just
They were
awkward
garbage.
and they had slow load times, but that wasn't too bad. They still
Oh, the
functioned.
the big original.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first wave of 360s actually did melt over time,
They
and
had a
currently like
100% failure.
95% of them are dead.
Yeah. Yeah. Even
So
Microsoft said 100% failure rate.
Yeah, so going by this level of escalation, I fully expect the first wave of Xbox Ones to, I don't know, turn into sentient murder bots while you're sleeping.
Transformers.
You wake up and your dog has been disemboweled and spread across your ceiling.
hung,
Like,
hung, yeah, hung.
Xbox? What?
Yeah, right. I well, I agree with what you're saying, but I think that with the 360, we already knew at this point in their console lifetime that they were dying. Like people were immediately saying these don't work.
Yeah,
So if anything, it's longer. Um, and I
which
think
still leaves my concern for the Xbone with the DRM and the
yeah.
everything.
Although I think their warranties are probably far better now than they were when the 360 first launched. Because
That's
God,
valid. Yeah, I'm not worried about the console dying. I'm worried about the console just being generally shit.
yeah. I'm just waiting for games, and damn it, if they actually do release Halo 2 HD, I'm going to be depressed that I don't have an Xbox One because man, Halo 2.
Didn't they release Halo 2 HD on the PC?
No, I mean there was Halo 2 on the PC, but it wasn't like it came out around the same time that Halo 2 actually came out, if not the same time. So you go back and play an old PC game, a lot of them don't allow you to play in 1080p because they're so old.
Right.
Unless you type in some kind of, bring up the notepad and type in some command prompt and all that shit, and I don't even bother with that.
That's usually not too hard because I mean, if it exists, somebody's already found it and you can just copy paste it
Yeah,
from.
yeah, but I kind of it'd be sweet if they had Halo 2 on Xbox Live, to play that over again,
Yeah.
and relive my
Maybe they could
frustration.
put the servers back up.
Yeah, God, that
Like
sucks. Like, oh,
no multiplayer game that they've made sense, that Microsoft has done sense, has had the same level of fan dedication that Halo 2 had. And the fact that they took the servers down when there were still thousands of people playing
yeah,
is a perfect vision of what is wrong with multiplayer today.
Microsoft in particular.
Not just Microsoft, like any multiplayer game that uses only dedicated servers,
Yeah,
like for example Titanfall. If that company goes out of business, we can no longer play Titanfall
yeah,
because they they don't have any private servers. There's no way to set up your own. There's no point where make you can't like broadcast your server
yeah,
information. I mean, for fuck's sake, even like Valve again being the uh, Valve and Steam, I don't always agree with what they do. I'm not 100% on board with Steam, but god damn it, you look at TF2 and it's like, okay, here's 80 dedicated servers and here's 4,000 other servers if you want to use one of those.
yeah.
It's like,
And
there
you
you
can talk
go.
shit about hats, but they continue to make money on that game
I
because of
think
those hats.
Hats is the best decision. If people want to pay for hats, people can pay for hats. If you don't want
Yeah,
to pay for hats, you don't need to complain about hats. They're just, you know,
yeah. People get really worked up about those hats. I'm like, okay,
I don't understand that. It's like,
calm.
oh, why aren't they putting more effort into making more weapons? Like, because they don't need to. The game
Yeah.
is complete. They don't need to put more stuff into it. The game is fun already.
Hmm.
And if I mean they do add content patches, but you know what would really incentivize them to make more content? If they were making $1 million a week off hats.
Yeah. Right. Tell me about it. Yeah, I think these games that shut down their servers should be the developers should be more clever on creating ways to constantly bring in revenue, rather than saying, "Duh, fuck it, close the
Yeah.
game down."
Or even if they are going to shut down their servers, open it up. Give the server code out to the community and let the community take over.
Yeah.
If you're not going to do it, like if they've decided they don't want Halo 2 online anymore, not that they don't want to manage Halo 2 online, but that they don't want it online at all. And that's douchey.
Yeah. But at least leave it up to the fans to
Yeah.
do their thing.
Just say, and a lot of games have done that. A lot of older games, like, hey, we're not gonna keep our servers on. Here's the code. You can do it if you want.
Do you remember MSN Gaming Zone?
Oh God, I think I just threw up in my mouth a
Jedi
little.
Knight. It's the only way I could play Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2. Is that still a thing?
I don't know.
No, I'm not googling it. For a moment, I
Yeah.
reached for the keyboard and I was like, no, no. Talking about, I think everything in this podcast always tends to revert back to games that we played 20 years ago. 10 years ago, 20 years ago. It's like, it's always this battle. Should we talk about current games? No, let's
No,
talk about
fuck it.
Halo and Jedi Knight and MSN Gaming Zone and shit like that.
I don't. I honestly do not think I've done what 4 or 5 of these things with you at
Yeah.
this point. I don't think I have let a single podcast go by without talking about how awesome Halo 2
Yeah.
was.
Yeah. Halo 2 was great. When Halo 2 came out and everyone's like, ah, Halo 1's better. What have they done? I'm like,
You're fucking wrong.
yeah, you're wrong. Halo 1, it's gonna piss
You know
off a
what's
lot of people.
interesting? A lot of the complaints I heard uh, that put Halo 1 above Halo 2 back when it came out, now that I think about it, most of them were things like, oh, you can't headshot snipe people with pistols anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, they made it too, the movement is too unrealistic. Look how high you can jump. Oh, there's no like auto kill backstab move anymore. And you know what? I'm pretty sure all of those people went on to play like Black Ops 2 multiplayer because that's the kind of game they want.
And I think
They
most of the people that bitch about Halo 2 continue to play it anyway. Hmm. And I don't know. I, I don't think Halo 2 was a balanced game. So if people are,
No, I mean it totally I think it was balanced in that it wasn't balanced. Um any multiplayer match I played with my friends. We would do LAN parties, like anytime somebody had a birthday, we'd
mhm.
drag TVs over to their house and have 16-player Halo 2
Tube
games.
TVs,
Huh?
Tube TVs.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I've
And
seen it.
uh and every time some jackass picks up the energy sword.
Yep.
And you know what happens then? 15 people are suddenly allies. They are comrades in arms
Yeah.
against that
Enemy of
one
my enemy.
fucker.
Yeah. Well, here's what blew my mind about that energy sword. It had ammo on the single player, but not the
Oh
multiplayer.
yeah, it did. It had ammo multiplayer.
No, it didn't.
Yeah, it did.
No,
Yeah, it did.
you're you're
Promise you
wrong.
it did.
Halo 3 did. Halo
Nope,
2 didn't.
it totally did. I will look it up now. Well,
Cool.
you talk about what you've been playing this week.
Actually, even though I was on vacation for a few days, um, I played a lot this week. I played Contagion. I played a whole lot of Contagion. Contagion is a co-op survival zombie game, so not a fast-paced game, but I think it still is like early access or something. It's still very infantile. Um, so I think there's only like 4 maps you can play, and so yeah, it's pretty interesting because the headshots are really good, and you really have to depend on your team, and you're constantly looting stuff. You have to go into corners and he's like, what's back here? Oh, there's a Desert Eagle back here. Sweet, I'll pick this shit up. Um,
I really love gameplay like that. Um, where you're constantly scavenging for the supplies you need to survive. I feel like that puts the player in a constant state of desperation.
yeah, the game gets pretty crazy. Like every now and again, you'll hit a button and dudes will just come pouring out. And
Yeah.
God, we died once because it was like 50 fucking zombies came through. Um, so yeah, that game is a lot of fun. It's just playing it alone is not so great. So you kind of have to depend on friends to really make that game worthwhile.
I'd honestly kind of like to try that. I've seen some good things about it, and I'd like to check it out.
Yeah, it's fun. Like I really it's a blast for being an early access game. I don't I think it's better than No More Room in Hell. Ronnie really likes that game. I won't pick on him for it, but I wasn't. I think that No More Room in Hell has a lot of room to grow, and I think Contagion almost feels like a more polished version of No More Room in Hell. Um, it's great for being what is that game? I think it's like $15 or something like that. Contagion's a great game. I recommend it. I just hope they hurry up and add new maps because you could probably burn through the content in that game, pretty quickly. Um, Other than that, I also played a bit of Hero Siege, and
Oh.
for about 20 minutes I was like, yeah, Hero Siege, and then I
And
was like,
then after that,
oh, it fizzles out so
it
fast.
it really is a game that can best be described as minutes of fun.
Yeah, literally,
Like
you're having a blast, and then
for
nothing's on it.
about half an hour.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't. Maybe it's better with more people. Um,
No, not
no,
really.
no. Okay, they
Then you
just need
just
to add
have
more
multiple
content.
people. See, then you just get bored faster.
Yeah,
Also, I'm going to interject here. The energy sword in Halo 2 had 100 battery units, and an attack took up 10 of them.
they must have patched that in later because I don't remember that being a thing when it first came out.
Nope, that they did never. There's no patch notes for it. They never changed that.
Really, because I remember constantly saying, "Why doesn't this thing have ammo?"
I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway, just just throwing that out there.
What are you talking about? Multiplayer or single player?
Both.
Really? Okay.
Yep. Same in both.
I will have to research this myself for another time, but I'm not going to do
Yeah.
that on the podcast. Um,
So Contagion and Hero Siege. Anything else?
I played Strider. Um, Jeff Gerstmann was really saying that game left a good first impression with him, and so it's like, maybe I'll try it, because it looks kind of cool. Man, I'm not into Strider at all. It's
It looks like an okay Metroidvania.
I just, if you like old Strider, you might like new Strider. If you can go back and play old Strider and say this game still holds up, then you'll probably really enjoy new Strider. But yeah, it's just the combat's not fun, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's sort of what I got the impression of watching gameplay of it.
You're just kind of swinging your sword around.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's enough to do in terms of dodging or interacting with enemies at all.
No, it's just not that engaging.
Yeah.
So, that game's kind of disappointing. I think it might get better after I unlock more stuff, but if that's the case, then I hate how modern games are starting to turn into that, where it's like they
I
suck for about 70% of the game.
I really like games where you start playing the game and it's fun and then you unlock more stuff and it
Yeah,
keeps the game fresh. I love it when that happens.
yeah, but a lot of games just they really want to pad it out by giving you nothing at the beginning and it's not fun. And then like
Alternately,
Bulletstorm, we talked about that last time.
yeah. A game like oh shit, I just lost it. It was in my head for a second.
Uh-oh.
I don't know. A game you where the point of the game is your constant desperation, and you start with nothing unlocked at all, and you die, and like the point of the game is to pile up your corpses so that every time you collect a few items and then die in a strategic location, so next time you can come through and loot your old corpse.
Mm. Isn't Dark Souls like that or Demon
Yeah,
Souls, whatever?
sort
Yeah.
of.
That game. That game sounds cool, and then I hear about how hard it is, and I go, I don't have time.
It has a very steep learning curve.
Yeah. Hopefully, I mean, I don't want them to change what makes that game good, but I hope the next one is a little easier to get into.
Yeah, it's. I tried playing it and I stopped because the PC port is shit.
Yeah.
Um, the PC port has all the controls mapped to Xbox controller buttons, which is fine if you have an Xbox controller. If you don't have an Xbox controller and you want to change it, you can't actually change what key on your keyboard it's mapped to. You can only change which Xbox button it's mapped to, and
Mm,
each Xbox button is permanently mapped to a key on your keyboard,
okay.
and it doesn't tell you which one.
That's pretty retarded. That
I know.
yeah.
Maybe they fixed it by now. I played this a while back. I'm not gonna play it again. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna wait for Dark Souls 2 and try that because that one will probably be better.
Well, it has the similar thing that DayZ has, which is DayZ is for people that have time to really dig into it and enjoy it. But
I still love the description of that game. At best, unreasonably cruel.
yeah, yeah, and you end up dying mostly because the controls are backwards and terrible.
Yeah.
Um, so it's one thing if a game is challenging and fair. It's
It's
another
another
thing.
thing if the game is hard because its controls make it hard.
Yeah, and it's still busted. Like
One thing that I loved about Dark Souls in concept is the idea that nothing is off limits. If you
yeah,
can see a monster, you can kill that monster or merchant or whatever. If you can see them off in the distance, odds are good that you'll end up like coming closer to them at some point. And if you want to snipe them with a bow from 50,000 feet away, you can do that.
remember how old games it was like there's a certain range where you just couldn't hurt
Yeah,
dudes. Like I think even old Medal of Honor might have been like that.
like Dark Souls does not believe in a skybox.
Yeah.
Everything you see is a part of the game world. And from when I was playing and I was trying desperately to get through it, and I'm wandering around and I'm like looking and like, oh fuck, look at that tower. That thing looks so awesome. And like 10 minutes later, it's like, fuck yeah, I'm scaling that tower. This is so
Yeah.
cool. Like that's a great feel.
It's kind of a shitty thing when there's like stuff in the game like I really want to go over there but I can't because they want this game to run better. Like Halo, going right back to Halo, everything in Halo is something that is actually tangible. The only problem is they wall it off so you can't get to it. But
Yeah.
I've glitched out of the level and ran around at times like wow, they really made a big level. And then it quick saved and I was like, fuck no!
Ah, no. Not now.
Restart.
Not now.
Yeah, right. Trying to jump back onto the map and it won't let me. Uh, sword
Anything else you've been
flying.
playing?
What else have I been playing? We play. Oh, speaking of old multiplayer games, we got. So we in our yurt. A yurt is just a big round. It's like a round.
I'm aware of what a yurt is.
Well, not everyone is.
Oh, okay.
It's like
Oh,
a little cabin.
it's a hut.
Yeah. But we were playing PC games in there after it got dark because my brothers don't drink, and I was like, what else are you gonna do on the coast when most places roll up their sidewalks? Um, we played Splinter Cell Chaos Theory multiplayer for a bit.
Ah.
Man, I forgot how awesome and nostalgic that game is. Holy
I
shit.
that's the one where there's, if I recall correctly, that's the one where one person is the spy and the others are the mercenaries.
Yeah, you could do. It's 2-on-2.
Okay.
Um, that game is great and it's brutally hard. And then you look at like Splinter Cell Blacklist and how they've deballed the challenge of that game, and it's kind of
I
frustrating.
fucking love asymmetrical gameplay.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just like because I think this is how games should work. If a game developer is looking at their game and they're like, okay, we want there to be two teams, but just going by what we want the players to be able to do, this isn't going to be balanced.
Yeah, Mercs.
Okay, new plan. Let's unbalance it.
Yeah, Mercs usually win in Spies versus Mercenaries just because they're more offensive and they have guns, and Spies just have their bare hands.
Yeah.
But that's part of the fun. It's like going against an extreme challenge. And so getting a kill in Splinter Cell is like so much more satisfying than just like kills in Call of Duty or every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, dropping on their heads and sneaking up behind them, and you got flashbangs and a taser gun, and you can. What I like to do is so on for people who haven't played it, on the mercenaries are in first person, and on their crosshair lines will appear showing whether there's sound coming from behind them or in front or left or right, and then there'll be an arrow for bottom floor, upper floor, lower floor, stuff like that. But as a spy, you can shoot um, these things called they're basically sticky noisemakers.
Oh yeah, I love those things.
Oh man, so you sit in the corner in a room where you shout those things all over, and the merc walks in and looks all around. He's looking at the
Just
ceiling.
freaking the fuck out.
Yeah, now you can turn on your visions, so you have like an electromagnetic vision, so you can see electricity and shit. So you can turn on that vision and find those things and shoot them and take them out. But
But
that
if you
that
turn
could,
that on, then you can no longer see the spy, and it gives them an opening.
yeah, I mean, and even if you're so much as looking around for those fucking things, it's enough of a distraction to maybe sneak up on a mercenary. Um, but you got to be decisive as a spy. You know, you fuck up and you're dead.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it. And then one thing I don't like about Chaos Theory is they added the shotgun, and that's the mercs were already overpowered with an assault rifle.
And now
Um,
they're more overpowered.
oh, that thing is crazy. Like, especially because sometimes it would glitch and you just snipe a dude with a shotgun. Um, but I mean, even with that aside, that game is a classic, and they'll never ever go back to that, you know, iron-fisted multiplayer where it's like, no, you will fucking get good at this game or you will not play it.
Now, there are some games that do. There's some, like, okay, not big commercial releases, but there are games coming out these days that are super challenging multiplayer. Um, Neo Tokyo is a good example of this. I think it's a Source Engine mod that plays like a cyberpunk version of Rainbow Six.
Okay.
Teams of like 4 to 6 people wandering around this deserted city, this deserted mega city, and it's last man standing. And yeah, you only have one life,
Uh,
and you die in 1 or 2 shots.
okay.
It is relentlessly brutal, and it turns into this absurd game of cat and mouse between like the last 2 people. Games run for 30 or 40 minutes. It really
Wow.
incentivizes you to play properly.
Yeah, that does kind of sound a little bit like Splinter Cell, because Splinter Cell is definitely cat and mouse. Yeah, I like those games where you have one overpowered dude and one underpowered dude, but you really have to use strategy to take them down.
You know what I'd actually really like to see? This is going to sound like Titanfall, but it's not. I'd like to see a game where, maybe a mech warrior game or something, where one person gets to pilot a mech and they're like attacking, or they're dropped into this city, and their goal is to take out a number of objectives, like take out 3 shield generators and this vehicle depot or something. And the other team is a dozen human soldiers on foot.
Okay.
Good fucking luck.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting game because you'd be underpowered in contrast.
Yeah, and you have to use like hit and run tactics, or you have to like give the players a ton of options. Let them be flexible. Let them rig up a car with dozens of C4 charges and ram the enemy.
Hmm.
Or like find the objective and think, okay, the best line of sight here is at this crossroad. Let's just mine the shit out of this place, and then we'll hide in the buildings. Make all the buildings enterable. This will take a colossal amount of processing power. Let the players go into all the buildings and like be up there with rocket launchers waiting, and then the mech comes along. It's like, no, you know what? I'm gonna knock over that office tower first.
Yeah.
I do not trust this place.
I like destructible environments and the effect that it has on gameplay.
Yeah.
Like Battlefield, it's like there are dudes in that building. I'm gonna make sure we can all see them and blow a hole in the wall.
Red Faction Guerrilla and the original Red Faction really tried to do that, and it was okay. They could have done a little bit better, but it was still awesome.
I think I own some of those Red Faction games and didn't actually play them.
Red Faction Guerrilla is hilarious on the single player because you're running around on Mars with the hammer of the gods.
Yeah.
And you really do feel like you are Thor punching Mjolnir through a building.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can do that. You can like walk up to a building like, I do not like this wall. Be gone, wall.
Wall looking
Wham.
funny.
And like, or I once I got one of the side quests, and it's like you have to assassinate these 4 targets. Okay. So these 4 targets are all in this office high rise. 16 remote bombs later, and that
Yeah, right.
office high rise no longer has a first floor, and the whole building comes crashing down. It's like, yep, I win.
Yeah, it's pretty scary in Battlefield when you're in a building and you hear that the steel. It's like everyone's like run. So
It's
yeah,
almost
that
safer not to go into buildings.
almost yeah, especially if you play like me, which is like I don't like this building, kill the building. Um, but yeah, I think that was
That's what you've been playing?
yeah, mostly. I'm looking at my recent Steam games list, and we played a little bit of Rainbow Six Vegas 1, because there's so many maps for that, and that game is still great.
That game had good variety.
Yeah. Oh, I guess the most important game, if you're talking about recent games, I played a good amount of Splinter Cell Blacklist. Uh, that game is good, and it's fucking hard.
I thought you were just complaining about that game.
Was I complaining about it?
Yes. That
Maybe.
they fucked up the multiplayer.
Well, I've been playing single player.
Oh,
I
okay.
haven't touched the multiplayer yet.
Is single player's good though?
Single player's good. Now, if let's go back. I'm not gonna talk in detail about old Splinter Cell anymore, but the single player of those old games were, at least with the first two, is a lot more strict. You know, it's like a lot of you got detected, you fail kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Um, Chaos Theory, a little more forgiving. I skipped Double Agent, but let's jump ahead to like Conviction, and that was a game where it was almost you want a shotgun, go ahead, but you got to be fast. You got to stay out of the way of their bullets.
So you are punished for being spotted, but you are not.
It doesn't
It's
end the
not
mission.
unfairly punished. You can get out of it if you're good.
Yeah, exactly. And Blacklist is kind of taking a not a giant step, but certainly a step in the other direction where it's like there are some missions you can fail by being spotted, and you cannot take a lot of bullets. And I think I'm playing it on normal difficulty. Um, yeah, and there's maybe it'll change when I've leveled up my armor all the way, but goddamn, there's a lot of unlockables in that game, so it's gonna take a while. It's crazy. Like
Yeah.
there's so much shit to unlock in that game, almost to a fault, because
You know, is it fun to unlock stuff? Like, was the game already fun and the unlockables make it better, or is it one of those
it
shitty?
was fun in the first place, but I almost feel like I'm just unlocking shit because I need to, because I need the shit. But it's not like the game's not bad without it. So at least it's enjoyable without the stuff. Um, it's just you look at the list of stuff and it's like, man, I don't know if I'll get all this before the game's over. But it doesn't ruin the game. It's not like, we talk about not Borderlands, Bulletstorm.
Yeah.
I
Bulletstorm was. Eh.
if
Sometimes I just want a game that gives me all the toys up front,
yeah
and then like sometimes takes a few of them away.
yeah
Dark Cloud 2, old RPG,
yeah
really
I've
good.
heard of it.
Yeah, in Dark Cloud 2, you have like 2 characters you can switch between that both have unique styles of attacking, both melee and ranged. They also have one of them has like a robot suit, while the other one has monster transformations, and so there's like all these different styles that you can play with and upgrade, and you can take whatever path you want. But sometimes one level of a dungeon is going to say, all right, got to use this person, or you can't use the magic, or you have to go through with a specific weapon type. And that's really I like that, because then it's like whatever you were doing, if it lines up, okay, cool. If it doesn't, then maybe you have to explore a different playstyle for a while and try something new.
That's kind of what Gears of War Judgment did, where you would click on the skull on the wall and it would give you like fog of war, or enemies now have sniper rifles and stuff like that. So it would cause you to adjust your way of playing, instead of just I'm going to sit behind this wall as far away as I possibly can. um, but yeah, I like Splinter Cell Blacklist. I can't really complain about stealth, because stealth is not really for me. so it's kind of an unfair advantage. It's an unfair argument, um, because I'm so impatient. But yeah, it's enjoyable. I recommend it. I think it may still be on sale on Steam right now for like $20 or something like that. Um, I noticed Ubisoft does not do these as many like landslide sales as like some other games where it's just like 90% off. They tend to be more careful about what they're putting on sale and how much they're going to do it for.
Isn't Ubisoft what's on sale on Steam right now?
Yeah,
Like their whole catalog?
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Call of Duty Ghost is like $30 now. Far Cry 3, Blood Dragon is 5. There's a sale for I think it's Far Cry 3 and Call of Juarez Gunslinger in a pack for like I don't know $10 or $12 or maybe I might be.
I'd recommend skipping both of those and buying Blood Dragon, which is hilarious.
Well, I loved Call of Juarez Gunslinger. That's actually
Okay.
it's really good even though all the other ones are total dog
Fine,
shit.
I'll trade you. You get Blood Dragon, I'll get Call of Juarez.
Oh, I got him. I got it. I beaten Blood Dragon. That game's great. I love the soundtrack. I've listened to it dozens of
Oh, I
times.
love that soundtrack.
Oh.
It's like this.
That's me singing the soundtrack.
I got that.
Or was that Tron? I might be singing the Tron
Yeah,
Legacy.
I'm pretty sure that was the ending theme for Tron. But
What's the difference?
yeah, one of them isn't Daft Punk.
I think Daft Punk is a little overrated, but that soundtrack that they did is easily their best work.
Honestly, I don't like most Daft Punk, but
No, I
I
don't
love
either.
their Tron soundtrack. And when I heard it's like, oh yeah, Daft Punk is doing the music for this, and I was like, I don't like their stuff,
But
but
they're
I
the right man for
trust
the
them
job.
here. Yeah,
Yeah.
like if anybody can do this properly, it's these guys that I don't like.
Yeah, exactly.
I've never really had a thought like that. Like I've never heard that about a game studio. I've never heard somebody say like, "Oh, Infinity Ward is making the next stealth puzzle game." The fuck you
Yeah.
say? No,
Yeah. Ugh.
they're not going to be able to pull that off.
There's a game on Steam called Drunken Robot Pornography.
I'm not. Don't click that button. It's a trap.
Just installs fucking spyware onto your PC. Anyway,
Or
but
worst case scenario, it installs drunken robot pornography.
Bender's pornography. Have you seen any Futurama where he's like the robot porn of that is just like a it's like a circuit board or something like that. Yeah, something like that. But I think that's mostly what I've played this week. What have you played this week?
I have been playing I'm playing a lot of. I'm still trying to get through EG on Pacifist on the hardest difficulty. So no news there.
All right.
Fun fact, it's still really fucking hard.
You had me worried.
What?
I said he had me worried. Thank God you clarified that. I was thinking all 2 weeks. Like, is this game still hard?
Yes. I've also, for the last couple of days, my roommate and I have been playing League of Legends on the new game mode that they put out.
Okay.
Which is kind of eh. So they do this thing. You know how I'm going to make a comparison here. You know how in Halo 2
Okay. Everything circles back to Halo 2.
you know how
War in the Middle East, Halo 2.
well, Fallujah is a lot like the Mombasa level in Halo 2 where you have no.
For a moment I thought you were being serious.
I'm not.
Okay. What were we saying about Halo 2?
What was I saying? Oh yeah, in Halo 2, all the custom game modes, or even better in one of the newer ones where you have total fine control over what weapons there are,
Yeah.
like how fast players move, what their base health is, even where stuff spawns, and what the objectives are. You know how that let players create some really cool game modes.
Yeah. SWAT, man, that came out of that.
Yeah.
Oh,
In
SWAT.
League of Legends, they don't really do that with custom games. Custom games are kind of incredibly limited. And a while back, somebody figured out there was a bug that you could do in custom games that let everybody in the game plays the same champion,
Okay.
which is hilarious to watch.
Hmm.
Um, just because you're not supposed to be able to do that, and it's meant to be 5 different characters against 5 other different characters, and hands down, having 10 of the same character on the field was one of the most fun experiences. So naturally, Riot patched that bug out and made it so people couldn't do that anymore,
Damn.
and then put in a special game mode that was available for a week or two and let players do the same thing. Then they took it away. This is what they're doing with special game modes now, is like every 2 months they give us something interesting for a week. And the current one lets you play with 6-on-6 instead of 5-on-5 in the main map.
Okay.
So it's not really that exciting, but so far, like it doesn't change anything. It doesn't recontextualize the game or drastically change how you have to play or what you have to think about. Like again, SWAT in Halo 2
Yeah.
was that, now suddenly being in cover and keeping an eye out for everything is super important because you die fast.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Whereas,
having fast reflexes was kind
yeah,
of the name of the game.
instead of worrying more about positioning and controlling the weapon spawns.
I will always be better with the controller S than I will with the 360 controller, mostly because of Halo 2.
Yeah, I can understand that. But yeah, the new game mode where it's 6-on-6, it doesn't really. It puts a continuous level of threat in the game, and fights are a lot more hectic
Yeah.
because there's now 20% more stuff happening. But aside from really upping the action level, I don't think it changed anything. It just kind of amplified a part of the game. It's not unfun. I've been enjoying it. It's just, God damn it, give us Halo 2 level of options.
Yeah, I actually really liked doing Halo 2 custom games and just like change. We would have like just Sentinel beams, which was fucking fun
Oh
because
yeah.
I think those things had like the most powerful melee in the game. So most of the kills in that game were just from bashing the dude because you kind of run up shooting just like any other game mode, but that melee was so much more powerful.
You know what I like is in Halo Reach, the level of control you have in custom firefight games is insane.
Yeah,
We like to make one where you can you run at 300% speed.
zero gravity jumping
And
around all.
no zero, like you run at 300% speed. Your roll has the rolling thing has a cooldown of 0 seconds, and it moves you at 1,000% speed. And then
Can
10
you get
times,
hurt by running into a wall?
yes, and then 10 times normal gravity.
Oh God.
So if you want to get up anywhere, you have to actually use the stairs, but it's okay because
Because
you
you're
can just
fast.
turn into Sonic the fucking Hedgehog.
Yes. Do you do you like turn golden if you get a certain amount of kills and go even faster? About 10% of our listeners will get that. It's pretty sad when I worry if people get Sonic the Hedgehog references.
Well, he can only do that in what, the third one? So,
Maybe.
yeah.
You probably remember better than I do. I remember
Anyway,
using the cheat code.
hey,
Well, let's well after you're done with what you've been playing,
I
I'm
got
gonna
one more thing.
okay.
Doom, but not original Doom.
Brutal
I've
Doom?
been playing the roguelike version of Doom.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that wasn't that a phone game?
Is it? I don't know.
It's like first person.
No, it's a top-down it's a top-down RPG version of Doom.
Okay.
And
Is it action? Like, or is it like turn-based or?
it's turn-based, but it feels like action because you're graded on your real-time time through a level. So moving fast feels like you get an advantage for it.
Okay.
Um, you get you like your weapons and your attacks and stuff are based off RPG style accuracy and damage with dice rolls,
Hmm.
but at the same time, your positioning and your like dodging, you can dodge enemy projectiles and you get to sidestep rockets just like in regular Doom.
Yay!
And I God, I have no idea how I don't know how they thought of this. Like I've seen demakes of games before.
Hmm.
I have never seen anything as engaging as this. Maybe it's because it combines two things that I liked. Namely the soundtrack to Doom and roguelike controls and strategy.
Hmm.
And it turns it into this amazing little package that is clearly recognizable as Doom. You can go berserk on people with a chainsaw. You can kick barrels into rooms and blow them up. But
I
at the
love
same
blowing up
time,
barrels.
yeah, at the same time you're doing it like in turn-based and you're equipping your armor and modding it with various things to give it a higher damage reduction percentage, and it's like it's this bizarre and fascinating amalgamation of two things that aren't supposed to be mixed. It's the Reese's peanut butter cup
Yeah.
of gaming.
Hmm. Well, I kind of, most demakes are kind of just, okay, this looks cute, but the gameplay's bad. But when they do it right, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because they can be good or bad.
If they do it properly, then they're not really demaking the mechanics, they're taking the feel and the theme of the game and seeing it through an older lens.
And they're changing the gameplay is totally different when you just
Yeah.
change the perspective.
It's like, what if this game was made 10 years ago? What would it look like? What if somebody said, we want to make a game where you fight demons on Mars?
Yeah.
Well, it would look like this.
If Sony made Doom, so if this was like a Sony exclusive, I just smack my
Oh
mic.
man, that's a fun game to play. What if a different company had produced a game?
Yeah. We could have a whole. I think we need to have a podcast just
Just
devoted
on
to
that.
that. Yeah, that'd be cool.
What if what if Rockstar had made Fallout 3?
Oh God. Um. Well, I can tell you, I would probably die a lot more from bad shooting, and VATS wouldn't exist, or maybe I would just be using VATS that much more, because, goddamn, does
No.
Rockstar.
You know what? No, we've seen what VATS looks like when Rockstar does it. It's the thing it's from Red
You're
Dead
right.
Redemption.
Yeah, Red Dead. I
Yeah.
forgot.
But wow, Rockstar could actually make a really good version of Fallout 3, I think.
Okay, now I'm on board with that
Yeah.
idea. Watch it tomorrow. They sell the game to Rockstar. It's like, what?
Done. Sold.
What have we caused?
Good things.
Yes. Fallout 4, man. If that game doesn't get announced this year, I'm gonna get angry. Cause, yeah, what are
I
they
hope it's
doing?
I hope it's better.
Well, I like
Fallout 3 was
3.
okay. Fallout New Vegas was pretty good. Neither of them had the level of lethality that I think is important in a game like that.
I like Fallout 3 because it's addicting, and maybe that's all I need. That's why I liked Rogue Legacy. I didn't
Yeah.
like Fallout New Vegas because it was like, here's this quest. Every step has 5 fucking steps, and most
That
of
did
them are
irritate
fetch
me.
quests. Oh God, let me
I
go
I
there and
guess
get my points.
what I want from Fallout, from the next Fallout, what I want is a game where at the start of the game, bandits are an incredible threat. I want a game where if you step on a landmine, you don't have to take a med kit to fix your leg up. You are just dead.
Yeah.
Um, I want a game where no matter what, if you encounter a death claw, you're fucked.
Hmm.
But at the same time, I want a lot of different options. Can I stay in light armor, only be able to take 3 or 4 bullets, but I can sneak around and snipe people off,
Yeah.
or have like really up my speed and go in and use speed as a defense and pick people off with pistols, or maybe make the power armor useful and you suit yourself up in an enclave suit and you are now invincible. You are god of the wasteland until
I want
somebody
that.
finds a plasma rifle.
See, I'm always like, just let me go spec and fuck shit up, so I can just run around and be, because like stealth is fine, but I'm impatient, so I kind of just want to be a tank and destroy things.
You
which is
mentioned that earlier, and it made me think of my experience with the new Deus Ex game,
I
where
played that game a decent amount. I didn't beat it.
for the first half of the game, I was going stealth, and I was also going non-lethal
Hmm.
because I didn't see any reason to kill any of these people. And
Yeah,
then I got, by the way, spoilers incoming.
that's fine.
I got to the, well, I'm telling everybody who's listening.
I
Uh,
don't care about them. Push off.
I got to the part where you're going to Hong Kong and your chopper gets shot down, and Malik is still in there, and I'd gotten to like her
Hmm.
because she seemed like the most level-headed person in the game. And she's like, "No, don't worry about it. I'll be fine. Go." And so I went, and the bell tower guards kill her.
Ha.
So I'm like,
Ha.
"Oh,
Guess not.
well, fuck this shit." Reload, save. Okay, no, don't worry about me. I'll be fine. Just go.
Yeah,
Bam.
just shoot all those dudes.
I finally have a use for all this shotgun ammunition. You fuckers
Sawed-off
are
shotgun.
mine. Before you were just like security guards that were kind of in the way and I had nothing against you. Now you are
Yeah.
all valid targets.
Yes.
And stealth just goes right out the window.
Hmm.
Like running, and it felt so good like running down the building. I got to do the kill executions with the melee move and I'm just like dropping people, grabbing their rifles, shooting their friends, and it was brilliant. I loved that part of the game.
I love the shooting in that game. It's so satisfying. My problem with that game was I enjoyed a lot of it, but goddamn, was there a lot of running around. It was just so
Yeah.
much, just like, oh, you got to hike to this point, and
My
then
my problem with that game was somewhere towards the end when you go and you talk to the old woman who knew you when you were a kid, and and she says a lot of crazy things, and you ask her, it's like, "Ma'am, what are you talking about?" And her response is, no joke, "Why, the conspiracy, of course." And
okay,
at that point, it's like, wow, suspension of disbelief right out the window along with my pacifist run.
yeah, yeah. So there's a certain point where you kind of have to give up on certain things in the game and just say, well, I'm having fun, so just ignore
Yeah.
everything else. Um, but is that all you've been playing this week?
Yep. Doom, League, and a little bit of EG.
Just don't, all this podcast is packed full of relevant new games, guys. So
Were there
we
even any new games out this week? Was there anything that I was
Strider.
Banished. I was gonna try to play Banished, but that cost $20. I'm not sure if I want to.
Yeah, I bought Strider for 15 and kind of said, yeah. But that's kind of
See,
a new
that's
game.
the attitude I'm worried about. Banished looks good, but I don't want to pay $20 for it and then regret it when I could use that $20 on Magic cards.
Yeah, I kind of feel obligated sometimes because I want to. There are some games I want to talk about, and when it's affordable, then it's like okay, but it's also kind of a bummer when I don't like the game.
Yeah,
But
I did that. The Steam sales always get me with that. Like
yeah,
last winter, it's like, oh, Super Hexagon is only 38 cents. I'll totally buy that. And I still haven't actually played it. I don't care about Super Hexagon. I'm never gonna play Super Hexagon.
yeah.
Why did I buy it? Well, because it was 38 cents. Well, that's a fucking stupid reason.
It's like they've been talking about threes on Giant Bomb lately, which is a game where you're just matching up. You match numbers together in multiples of three, so you swipe these cards around on your phone. It's an iOS game, and they really like it. And I'm like, I hate math, but it's $2. And I play it. I was like, yeah, I'm bored. Why did I buy a math game? What the fuck is wrong with me? I might as well play Number Munchers. That's at least better. I don't know if you remember Number Munchers.
I do. It was kind of fun.
Yeah. Um, but backpedaling to news. Um, so Sonic games, most of them are bad. Most of the new ones have been bad. I think there's a universal agreement on that.
I think somebody said they were kind of getting better. Sonic Generations was interesting because it had a fairly decent 3D, but
Yeah.
then it also had a lot of the classic 2D levels that were just
Yeah.
remastered.
You can't really. Here's the thing. Like, you try to go back and play Sonic now. Like, I understand why the game was great for the time, but it's kind of
It's
like
not that fun.
no, it's like trying to go back and play GoldenEye.
Yeah. It was great then. I enjoyed it as a kid, but looking back on it, and I have no idea why they decided to market Sonic as being fast. He's not fast. he
Yeah.
moves really. He doesn't move slow, but he takes a long time to build up momentum.
Yeah, the game is not fun unless you're actually at top speed.
But then once you're at top speed, there's no. Then you're just like kind of set on the path, and there's no
Yeah.
real control.
I
And
think the color and nothing else moved as fast as Sonic for the time. So the fact that
yeah,
they've been
which
trying
is,
to, you can't modernize Sonic. I mean, unless
you know
this new
what?
developer does it.
I think, hey, who would be the best developer for Sonic?
Well, it's well if you're asking me,
Infinity Ward.
okay, because they know how to make fast-paced games. Um, I don't know, man. I would probably say give it to somebody that knows how to make good 2D games. Like who did Shadow Complex? Was that Cher? Um,
Oh,
I think it was Cher.
fuck, I remember that game. I played a lot of that game, and I actually stole it like several times just to be spiteful. Because it's an Orson Scott Card thing, and I hate that guy.
Oh, okay. I played a good amount of that game, and then I lost my progress and said, "Oh, not going
Yeah,
back."
yeah.
I tried to, and then said, "Eh."
It's a shame because I always hate it when any cultural thing gets mixed in with gaming
Yeah.
because Shadow Complex was a really fun game. It was a great modernized version of a Castlevania or a Metroidvania.
hmm And the
And
combat's engaging. That's the problem with most 2D games is the combat's not
yeah,
like it's
combat
standard.
was really cool. Like combat felt like and the boss fights.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, boss fights. I
Mm.
love boss fights. But it was written by a guy who was getting royalties for the game that flat out said that he was going to be using 20% of his income to donate to the National Organization for Marriage.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't want to buy that. I don't want to contribute to those people. I in fact really like it if those people were the enemies in the game and I could shoot them repeatedly.
I wish they were the enemy should be the Westboro Baptist Church.
I actually like them, and I will explain
Oh
why.
God, here it comes.
I like them
I
for the same reason that I like Hitler.
I cannot. Okay, go on.
See, I like Hitler because Hitler is the perfect example. He was an awful, awful person that did awful things, but he's the greatest example for almost any political or economical or social argument. He even disproves common sayings. You know
Yeah.
that saying, no press is bad press? Well, here's some bad press for you. Headline: Man is Hitler.
Yeah.
There, disproved.
Murders.
Hitler solves arguments. And for the same reason, I like the Westboro Baptist Church because, well, a similar reason, because they're a litmus test.
Yeah, they're like how
They're
crazy people can get. Well,
well,
there they
not
are.
just not specifically about that, although that is a good thing because you have to remember most of them are just normal people. Some people have quit the church and have gone on to say, yeah, it was just really convincing at the time. I don't know
Yeah.
why. I don't know why I felt that way. I can't really tell you why I felt so hateful, but you know, I got into it, and it's a good pointing to them and saying, yes, those people are crazy, is a good way to remind ourselves that we're not that bad.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but
Right. They make you feel good about yourself.
but we could be, and we have to watch out for that.
Did you see that picture of a? So the Westboro Baptist Church was. I think they were picketing outside like Comic Con or some nonsense.
Yeah.
Some. I don't mean
And all the
nonsense.
people responded.
Well, no. The funny thing was across the street there was a dude dressed up as God, who's the guy that's always um. Fuck, who's the guy that wears red and black and completely
Deadpool.
Deadpool, yeah, he was dressed up as Deadpool, and he was holding a sign that said, "God hates Wolverine."
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah. So news. we'll never stay focused on this
Sorry,
podcast.
I just wanted to finish. The other reason I like the Westboro Baptist Church is as long as they exist, we know that freedom of speech is still a thing.
Oh God, I know, and I like freedom of speech to a point, but then there's people like that where it's like, man, you guys abuse your rights.
Well, I mean, no, they don't. They actually work perfectly within the. I mean, they're being douchebags.
Yeah.
Never let it be said that I don't acknowledge that they are the world's biggest douche nozzles.
Yeah.
But they're, and I can't even say they're not hurting anybody because they clearly are. You can still cause emotional and mental distress, especially doing what they're doing. But as long as they're there, at least I know I can get away with saying things. I can say all sorts of things.
Yeah. Right. Well, it's like, here's the thing. Like, if you want to set up some crazy cult
Which
that
I do. Anybody interested in joining a cult, contact me.
free Kool-Aid for anybody.
Like actual Kool-Aid, not poison Kool-Aid. That stuff is weird.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: is like if you want to start some crazy cult and come up with your own nonsense rules, and okay, but when you start a church that is kind of, sort of, a little bit based on Christianity and say God hates fags, did you miss like everything that came out of Jesus's mouth where he talked about loving
I,
people?
I'd like to quote from the Bible about what Jesus has said about gay people.
Well, he didn't. He didn't say anything. That's the funny part. So there's a lot in the Old Testament, and that's kind of gray, and I don't want to talk about that on a video
Actually, there's
game.
one thing in the Old Testament, and it's not that gray.
No, no, but there's a
Sorry,
lot of
I've done too
argument.
much research on this. It's
Well, there's a
relevant
lot
to.
of argument on how relevant is the Old Testament, and is the Old Testament in line with what Jesus said, and I don't always think it is.
I'd like to get us off the politics with a joke.
Yeah, okay.
What's the difference between a church and a cult?
A government grant?
In a cult, there's one person running the show that knows that everything's fake.
Yeah,
In a
there you
church,
go.
that person is dead.
There you go. I don't really care who people believe. I don't care if people believe in.
I thought we were getting off of that.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. Moving on to Sonic, which is something I brought up 20 minutes ago. Then we talked about nothing for the next 20 minutes.
I actually think that Infinity Ward might be able to make a good Sonic game because I'm imagining a game that's sort of like maybe Infinity Ward and all the good people that left to form that studio that just made Titanfall. Like a game where it's sort of free runny and you got maybe a space that is 3 miles long but only 4 or 5 city blocks wide. And your goal is to get to the end of that space. And then there's a number of things in your way. There's obstacles, traps, enemies, all that sort of thing. And that way, it gives you could get choices on what route you take. If they do it in an urban setting, there's a lot of stuff to play around with. Falling terrain, something chasing you, enemies positioned in various places. And they could get a lot done with that, I think. That
They
would
need
be,
to position the camera too, so it's not like, oh,
yeah, a sort
all
of,
the shit is right in your face at the last second.
yeah. And now, in Titanfall, it's not third person. But it
No,
works in first person.
it's
I
not
think
as fast as Sonic though.
yeah, if they want it to be a fast game, they gotta pull back to a third person camera.
Yeah, like maybe 3/4 or a
But
little higher.
the most important thing is that the environment cannot be too cluttered. And it has to be spread out far enough that you can get a good view of what's coming up before it hits you.
Also, hardware, man. Like, hardware can't keep up with the pace that they want Sonic to be most of the time.
I think
Like
it
how
could now. I think it could just barely now
Yeah.
if they keep it simple. Actually, wait,
Well,
hold on.
this is a Wii U and 3DS thing.
I've fucking played the new Sonic game. Or I've played a good Sonic game. It's just not called Sonic. It's called Race the Sun.
Huh. Okay.
It's a game of simple geometric shapes where you play as a solar-powered robot ship, and you are trying to keep up with the sun as it sets on a planet.
Okay.
And you fly. Like, you move so goddamn fast. And there's all these, like, a huge pattern of obstacles and traps and enemies to avoid and stuff to collect. And power-ups. And, yeah, that's what Sonic would have been if it was good.
Well, this new game is not being developed by Infinity Ward. It
Damn.
is not being developed by Sonic Team.
Oh,
It's
good.
being developed by a new developer called Big Red Button Entertainment, and so that's the Wii U version, and the 3DS version is being handled by Senzaru Games, which also did Sly Cooper Thieves in Time.
Ooh.
So I don't know
Now I
anything.
like the Sly Cooper games,
Yeah, I've seen them. I
but
haven't played them.
the Sly Cooper games have
Those are stealth games.
nothing in
No,
common.
you want to take a game that has the opposite pace of Sonic. Let's look at the people that are making.
Yeah, take a like a timing puzzle game, and
Hmm.
yeah,
But you
I
know
don't.
what? The cool thing is Sonic Team's not making it.
Yeah, that's fine. Although I still they did a good job on Sonic Generations. Not a great job.
But it's not a steaming pile of poop.
Wasn't there another one like Sonic 2013 or something?
People like, I don't know when Sonic, wasn't Sonic Colors a game people liked? I
I
don't.
don't remember. That was either the one that everybody loved or everybody hated.
People say they like that one. Um,
Sonic Adventures was the one that everybody hated.
yeah. There was one on GameCube I actually liked. Wasn't it Sonic Adventure Battle or something like that?
I don't know.
I played it a little bit at the store back when they had GameCubes in stores. You remember that? Um, man, and broke my neck looking up at that TV. Um, yeah, that game I thought was all right for a modern Sonic game from what I played. But yeah, this game is, and from what I heard, rumor, apparently it's a former Naughty Dog guy that's leading one of these games. I don't know if it's the Wii U or the 3DS version. That could be wrong. It's just what I heard.
So has Big Red Button like do any of the developers come from other companies? Are any of them established or is it totally fresh?
I have no idea
Huh.
because I literally just I heard it on a podcast, and then just as we were talking about a half an hour ago, I drummed up this article, and I'm kind of just now reading it. Um, so yeah, always getting the best news here.
You are just on top of your research today.
Oh yes. Well, I never said this was a news podcast.
That's fair.
um, but yeah, I just think it's a good team. Sonic Team is not making it. I think this game needs new blood. They need different people looking at it. Oh, and there's also going to be a cartoon along the line with it. Apparently,
A
52.
cartoon?
Yep, 52 episodes.
Another one?
Yeah, 52 episodes. Each episode is like 11 minutes, so it'll probably be
So
two episodes in a block.
this makes the fourth Sonic cartoon.
God.
I'd like to remind everyone there was also a Sonic comic book, which is still going and has been going since I think 1997.
Why are people so loyal to fucking Sonic? Like, you
The
can
comic
say,
wasn't that bad when I read it as a kid, although I might only think that because I read it as
well,
a kid.
I mean, maybe the old stuff is good, and maybe it's just
Like the old stuff, you know, you know what the art style in the old stuff really reminds me of?
the
Dr.
old.
McNinja.
I don't know what that is.
It's a webcomic.
Okay.
It's about a doctor who is also a ninja
All right.
and Irish.
Keeps getting better and better. Does he drink whiskey?
No.
Well, then, fuck it. I shan't be interested.
Why did she turn into a pirate?
I didn't know that it turned into a pirate. Maybe I'm secretly a pirate and I don't even know it.
Arr.
Some dudes are gonna come knocking on my door with peg legs. It's time for another adventure. I'll be like Bilbo Baggins.
You'll be like, another? I don't recall being a pirate.
Was I drugged? I was kidnapped in the Shanghai tunnels.
So I have a question for you.
Okay,
I got the question for the week.
another
What-
one.
What was the first one?
I don't. We ask a lot of. Who should develop Sonic?
Oh yeah.
Among
also, which series should we swap developers for?
Oh, is that the new question?
Is that yeah? I guess that was the question I asked recently.
What series should we swap
Oh,
developers?
yeah, I want to go back to that one because I want to keep exploring that.
The Sonic thing?
No, the developer swap one.
Well, it's kind of. I mean, here's a bit of news that ties into exactly what you're saying. John Carmack permanently leaving it is kind of
Yeah.
old news. But
Was he going somewhere?
he went to Oculus permanently
Oh,
because he'd been.
that's fine.
I think we kind of saw it coming, and they may have even mentioned
Like, I
it.
mean, come on. What has id done lately that anybody
No.
gave a shit about?
No, and from what I heard, Rage was the lackluster.
Oh, Rage was not bad. It wasn't good. It was aggressively dull.
The shooting was really good, but everything else, when you weren't shooting, was kind of bad. And apparently, Bethesda, from what I heard, Bethesda has a lot to do with why that game was bad.
If they had just mixed the shooting in Rage with the exploration of Fallout 3,
Yeah.
that game would have blown my mind.
Well, I don't like it when games that center around shooting give you all this boring wandering around shit that's no fun. Like it's fun wandering around in
I
Fallout 3 because you're constantly looting, but wandering around in Rage is not
Where
fun.
you're not looting.
Huh?
Where you're not looting in
Yeah.
Rage.
Yeah, and then
I
they had to
guess
add it in the stupid hub world, but shoehorn that into another game. Oof.
I don't I actually really like games with a strong narrative.
Max Payne 3.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I did play that.
Better version of Man on Fire.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
Mm-hmm.
I
God
liked
damn it.
Man on Fire,
I
actually. I
love
like
Man
Man
on
on Fire
Fire.
better.
Um,
Max Payne 3 does not have the same, but whatever. Different
yeah,
genres, different one of them is a movie. But
I'll
I I
table that.
I like games. A game with fast-paced action can totally have a good story. I just none of them have done it yet. Um, I'm not sure how it would work. In a lot of games that have good characters and good story, like BioShock with the audio logs, Arkham Asylum with the Joker's commentary and also audio logs. Those are those are great games because you get downtime.
Yeah.
When you're waiting up on a gargoyle as Batman for some unsuspecting goon to walk by, and you hear the Joker talking, because you're waiting, you've got some free time.
So are you
It's a good,
talking strictly putting story into the gameplay without a cutscene? Because
yeah.
Max Payne 3 was just cutscenes and
Cutscenes don't, uh, cutscenes aren't as fun because it doesn't feel like you get to play it.
yeah.
Um,
Although
Maybe a game with like an AI partner or something where your partner talks as you guys are going. But I don't know if we have the AI to make that kind of snap decision for like a Twitch shooter sort of thing.
for as far as games have come, you look at AI and you go, does this not fucking matter to developers? Like, man,
Hey, let's talk about Halo 2.
the I will
It,
say the change from Halo 1 to 2, where elites will just take a grenade in Halo 2 most of the time, pretty bad.
so when they were making Halo 2, when they started focus testing it, they had all these really clever AI interactions mapped out. And every enemy had like 50 different things that they would do in reaction to 100 different scenarios. And they almost never triggered.
Yeah,
And players thought the enemies were stupid because sometimes they'd misinterpret stuff and or sometimes they just wouldn't react because there was a percentage chance. So you know what Bungie did? They went in and they said, all right, every enemy will have like 3 to 4
yeah.
reactions to every scenario, and they will always do one of these things.
They
And they
just
sent it
didn't
back
have
to the
time.
focus group, and the focus group was like, fuck yeah, this AI is brilliant. Because it doesn't matter what they do, or it doesn't matter how they react. It doesn't matter what their thought process is. It only matters what the player sees, and the player saw every enemy reacting fluidly to their actions in
Yeah, they
some
usually
way.
reacted, which is better than most games, I guess. I still miss the part where you threw a grenade at an elite in Halo 1 and it wanted to get out of the way, and half the time you'd throw a grenade,
And it rolled into a wall.
or it wouldn't even roll sometimes. They just kind of chill there and be like, oh,
Yeah.
I think we need a game that gives us that Half-Life 1 AI moment where it was like, holy shit, these dudes actually take off if you shoot them enough times. Where it's like games before that, the dudes just hung out. They're like, oh, just
Yeah.
keep shooting me, I'll shoot
I,
back.
I'd really love to see some AI that put thought into things, I guess.
Fear was really good too, man. They how aggressive and they would Fear felt a lot like Half-Life, like fighting those Marines, like how they'd flank you and how aggressive they were. Um, Fear had a lot of problems, but it was kind of a great game in a lot of other ways. Um, could have been half as long. I've never beaten that game. Talk about wanting a game to be long, and then when you get it, it's like
I don't want a
uh,
game to be long. I want a game to be solid.
yeah, I want pacing,
Uh,
proper pacing.
Fallout 3 was fucking long, but every moment in that game felt like it belonged in that game.
Yeah, I
It
beat all
was
that
it was a
DLC.
sprawling exploration, and I never felt like I was wasting my time on it.
Did you play the DLC?
Yeah, that felt like wasted time. Let's not talk about the DLC.
I like the DLC. I feel like the gameplay in the Alien one was a little kind of got old after a while, and I got lost one too many times. But um, yeah, I didn't beat the last DLC because I hit the level cap and said, okay, the one that extended the end of the game or whatever.
Yeah, the steel one.
Maybe it was where the giant robot.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
But yeah, and then sometimes games can be short but amazing. Portal.
Kane and Lynch 2, man, that game. Oh,
Nope,
Kane and Lynch 2 is great.
you're fired.
Well, if you bought that
Nope,
game for
you
60,
fired.
did
Taking
you
over
buy
this
that game for
podcast.
$60?
This is my podcast now. You have
What did
lost your right
what did
to
you
have opinions.
what did you pay for that game? Did you pay?
Nothing.
Okay. If you paid like $5
I
for that game and
I
played it on
pirated that
co-op,
game and I felt ripped off.
the
I have
second
been
one,
cheated of my precious time
well,
and
what were your
brain cells that
expectations?
game destroyed.
Are you talking about Kane and Lynch 1 or 2? Because
Two.
1's really bad.
They're both bad.
2 is fine. It's
Two
just
is
it's a
worse.
straightforward shooter and it looks great.
It's not.
That crazy
It does not.
pixelated
It
camera
doesn't look
stuff.
great. It looks like a drunk guy threw up on his camera and then
That's the
decided to
point.
follow around a couple of sociopaths.
Well, you can shut off that shaky cam stuff. I shut that off immediately because I didn't want to puke. Once you shut off that bobbing stuff, the camera looks pretty cool.
And
They nailed the camcorder thing
was-
better than anything.
the story of that game is so abjectly retarded.
If you're playing shooters, why do you expect a story?
Because I've played shooters and gotten a story before.
How many of them? There aren't many.
Well, let me think here. Bioshock Infinite to a lesser degree, Halo 2, sort of Halo 3. Halo ODST had a great story to it. So did Reach.
But
Reach did a great job mixing mechanics and narrative, especially at the end.
I feel like Halo's games have good stories, but I feel like they could do a much better job. There's a lot of details they leave out.
That's true, but they give you what you need to play, and then if you want to learn more, there's a way to do it.
And I think Master Chief is a boring character.
Yes, he is.
A very boring character.
That's why I liked ODST and Reach better,
Yeah.
because you're playing with people with personality.
Yeah, and even in the book, he's boring.
What else have I played? Oh shit, I
There
can't
aren't
look.
many. I mean, there are a
Steam
few
isn't
shooters
loading
with good
properly.
stories. There are a few that have very good stories, but I'm not. If I'm sitting there,
Modern Warfare 1.
Oh, God, the gameplay in that game was so boring, though.
Far Cry 3. Far Cry Blood
Far
Dragon.
Cry 3 had.
Thief.
I did not
Thief
like how
2, The
every
Dark
boss
Project.
fight. I hated every boss fight in Far Cry 3. How all these awesome characters, these awesome villains that you've been tracking for the longest time, and then you fight them and it's a fucking whatever quick time event. Oh, that was a drag.
Let's see. That was third person. What else do I have on here? Going through my list.
It's
looking
just
for
not
stuff.
common. Like if you're expecting
Deus
a
Ex.
shooter to have a good story, it's not.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm going
Deus
with-
Ex is an RPG. Like that game is really
Ex is
based
first
on
person.
numbers.
It's a first person shooter. I'm counting it.
Yeah,
Metro
yeah.
2033, Metro Last Light, Portal.
This is like less than 1% of shooters, though. Portal
And yet,
is
it's
Portal a
90% of the
first-person
games
shooter, though?
I've played. You asked for games I've played. Hard
Okay.
Reset. How about that?
Did that game have a story?
Yes, it had a story. Didn't you play the game?
I played most of that game, and for what I knew, I was just shooting robots.
There's a story there.
Oh, was it
What did you?
text in between the levels?
No, it was the audio logs and the conversations you have.
Fuck
to
audio
support that.
logs. They should.
Audio logs are great. Stalker. All 3 Stalker games.
I play.
I will wear you down. System Shock 2.
But okay, if you're talking about games you played, fine. But I don't demand a game have a good story because it's not realistic.
I mean, they're games. They're not realistic to begin with.
No, but no. What I'm saying is, if I'm
Battlefield
demanding a
Bad Company
game,
2.
I'm going to have. I don't remember the story in that game. I remember
It was awesome.
I remember the single player being great. I
Yeah,
don't remember a narrative.
there was a narrative. It was pretty cool. I think if I'm thinking of the right one.
Maybe it's because it was
Um,
military and I checked out because military stories are usually so
Just
rough.
Cause was third person and also okay. What else is in here?
I'm just saying that if most shooters don't have good stories, and that's fine by me, when they do have a good story, awesome, great. Some of the best games I played were because the story. It barely counts, but Gun, that game kind of not great, but the story was so fucking great, in my opinion, that it made that game acceptable.
Left 4 Dead.
What was the story in that game?
There's zombies.
That's not a story. I'm talking about a narrative, not just let's run.
I
And
guess okay.
sometimes a
When
narrative
I
is
say story is mostly narrative, but there's other stuff that goes into story as well. And Left 4 Dead had some of the best character moments that I have ever seen in a game. It it did a great job of pacing with its atmosphere. It did a great job of showing off just how fucked the world had gotten. And because of its good pacing, you would sometimes end up with little quiet moments, like when you're in the elevator in the hospital. And during those times, they did a great job of pitching in little conversations between the characters that made the game feel alive in a way.
well, there's the
That
story
made
that
it
they're
feel more than just a stock arcade shooter.
well, there's the story that they're telling you, and then there's the story that you're experiencing simply by playing the game. Like, look
Yeah,
at,
but I mean, those are
which is fine.
a good game doesn't tell you a story. A good game lets you play out a story.
Well, some games do both. Like Max Payne 3, most of that story is kind of given to you through cutscenes.
Honestly, I didn't like that story. And not just because of the cutscenes. I didn't like the story to begin with, but because it's in cutscenes, it always felt like it was somehow separated from the game.
I didn't mind it. I kind of just went with what they were giving me, and the fact that they took the narrative of Man on Fire and then added in that twist at the very end, which I won't spoil for people. The part where you walk into the lab and the doctor's got the scalpel and there's
So what you just said about not spoiling it, you're throwing that out the window.
no, I'm not saying what happened.
Okay.
They don't. Yeah, I'm not going to say the thing, but that moment in that game was like, holy shit. Only thing about that game is you kind of should play it on easy if you don't want to. If you have other things to do with your life other than butt your head against a checkpoint. God damn, that game was hampered by controls. Because it probably wouldn't have been hard on normal if it wasn't. Anyway.
Xenoclash. Last one.
Oh,
All
God.
the way at the bottom.
I tried playing Xenoclash.
It's a little
It's
tricky to
really
get into.
bad.
Oh, okay. I should rephrase. Xenoclash 2.
I played both. I downloaded them both on the Steam sale, and I was like, I'm not into this.
The second one is a lot better and has tighter mechanics and is a little easier to get into. The story is that kind of trippy,
I like the weirdness.
it's almost a nightmare.
Yeah,
It's like you're playing somebody's nightmare,
it's a
and I love
badass
nightmares.
trip. Yeah, I there's a lot of stuff about Xenoclash I like, but playing the game to me was no fun, and I was kind of disappointed because it looked awesome, but it wasn't for me.
That's fair. I guess what I'm saying is that my point in all this is that a first-person shooter can totally have a story.
It can.
And a story is a combination of the narrative that they tell you and also the atmosphere, the characters, the pacing. Like look at Metal Gear Solid 3. Shit, which one? 3. Metal Gear Solid
You would know
3.
better than me.
Metal Gear Solid 3 has like you can get a sense of that game playing through. You can get a lot of story out of it skipping all the cutscenes if you want to.
Yeah.
And it's packed with story in every aspect of the game, and the narrative just makes it better.
Mm-hmm.
A good shooter is the same way. You don't have to if you just play it like an arcade game, you will still walk away with a little bit of the story. If you play it through and you do pay attention to the characters and the environment and everything like that, then you get more out of it. You played Fallout 3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That thing.
Did you ever find a spot in Fallout 3 where the environment itself told a little story? Like what I'm thinking of is
The
the
Last
one
of
in
Us
my
was good at that too.
Yeah. The one in my head is there's a part where I was going through like an abandoned school, and there's there's a skeleton leaning up against the wall next to a mop bucket, and it's still wearing like this tattered old janitor's hat that you can
Hmm.
loot off of it. And there's like a couple of empty bottles on the floor next to the guy.
Hmm.
And it's just like this guy this guy was here when the world ended and was just like, well, fuck it, breaking out the stash of beer. And you get to see you get to see like an ending, but not the story that led up to it, and it leaves your imagination open to fill things in, and
Yeah,
that's like
I
great
like it when they
environmental
do that.
storytelling.
Every like some games like Fallout 3, The Last of Us, every room kind of tells their own story,
Yeah.
and they've actually put. I wonder how many hours they put
Oh
into.
God, because they like nothing is left to chance.
No, there's there.
And of course, the boring ones in Fallout 3 are the places that are just like they copy pasted a building and didn't
Yeah.
put anything in it. It's like, oh, the player will love this. It's filled with ammo, and they'll love this. They just have to fight in and get the stuff. And it's like, no, we fucking hate those buildings. We want the buildings where we get in and we're like, why was this building filled with giant ants? Let's find out.
Oh
You
man,
know?
those giant ants. If you go straight to those ants when you start the
Oh,
game,
do
I
not
did
do
that.
that.
No, I think Fallout 3, if you're going to ask me what was the best game of last generation, I would probably give it to Fallout 3 personally, because
Yeah,
that
I can
game was probably the
see that.
biggest impact for
I
me.
don't know if I agree. I don't know what my answer would be, but I can understand why Fallout 3 would be a candidate. It's it's just got so much flavor in it. It is bursting with flavor, especially on your first playthrough when you're just exploring and
Mhm.
discovering everything.
And unlocking stuff in that game and leveling up is so addictive.
Oh, and the perks. Some of the perks completely
Yeah.
change how you play games or
Yeah.
how you play it. Like the vampire perk
Is
where
that where you're leeching health or
or
something?
no,
I
no,
forgot.
the Child of the Night, where you get +2 strength and agility at night,
Yeah.
but -2 during the day.
Mhm. And
And
they had a lot of those in New Vegas where it was like right at the beginning of the game. I kind of looked at all the drawbacks and said, nah, I don't know if I want to get hit with any of those drawbacks. But yeah, they definitely cause you to think, what is the pro and con? Of this? Am I going to?
there's actually a mod for New Vegas that I was playing with that just said that it was like a balance thing. And one of the things it does is forces you to pick two of those perks at the start.
Mhm.
So no matter what you're doing, you're starting with a couple bonuses and a couple drawbacks, and your entire game is based around those.
Mhm.
And that's kind of nice. It's like it really influences everything. It's good stuff.
Where is Fallout 4?
Ah, come on,
I
get on that, Rockstar.
ah. They just sold it to Rockstar without us knowing it. So we
Hype.
buy the game and Rockstar Games comes up. It's like, what? No. Wouldn't it be
I
funny if it was just all the Rockstar game characters in Fallout, like dude Max Payne and Nico Bellic and all the dudes from
see.
GTA
I
5?
never really played GTA, so I don't really care about them. But I,
5 is the best.
eh,
It's better than 4. 4 is
I guess the thing
oh,
is, Rockstar the GTA games don't interest me because their characters seem like awful people.
yeah.
But I don't like that because like I said, I play games for story and narrative, and if the characters are douchebags, I'm not gonna have fun,
Hmm.
especially if they make me play as one of those douchebags. But in a Fallout game, I think they could strike the proper balance. Like Fallout would just be a more cluttered version of Red Dead Redemption for them, and they could totally do it, and I'd love to see them try. I'd love to see a Rockstar game where you can wander around the capital wasteland, or any. Maybe they could put it somewhere else. Like fuck, no, put it in Australia and make it a Mad Max game.
Well, aren't they already making a Mad Max game?
I don't care,
Fuck it. Yes.
and that way they can have their vehicle stuff in there too, and they can really up Fallout to like the level of their other stuff. but keep that sprawling exploration in there.
Yeah, I love post-apocalyptic stuff. I like The Road a lot, even though that movie kind of. If you're in a bad mood, don't watch The Road. If you feel like life is hopeless, don't watch The Road.
If you do have a sense of hope and trust in humanity, don't watch The Road if you want to keep those.
Yeah, right. So we watched. I took a science fiction literature class,
Oh, yeah.
and my instructor was like, so we actually watched a few movies, even though it's a literature class.
Movies
Um,
are literature.
yeah, it is. But the instructor's like, usually we talk about the movie we watched and how it applies to the books we've been reading, but with The Road, we're just gonna leave, go home, like go to bed or
Go
something.
home, cry a little.
Yeah, because no one wants to talk about The Road the moment they watch it, because it's so
See,
depressing.
see, I like post-apocalypse stuff, but I'm getting kind of burned out on the post-apocalypses that are available.
Yeah.
Because everything now is either post-nuclear war, like in Fallout,
Hmm.
or it's zombies.
Well,
It's mostly zombies.
I wish there was more enslaved post-nuclear world where it's like it's been a while, so all the greenery has grown up, and if you look
Oh
at
yeah.
Chernobyl, that's it's totally green.
And there's so many other options. Like, oh, well, Chernobyl.
Hmm.
Chernobyl is kind of bizarre in places. Did,
Yeah.
did you know there's certain species of plants in Chernobyl that have evolved to feed off radiation?
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's
those things
cool.
are not green. Those things are like the most beautiful colors.
Yeah. There's a
But
doc there's a
or,
documentary called I think Inside Chernobyl or something on YouTube. It's free. I recommend it. It's really good.
Chernobyl is a just I want to go visit.
Well,
Maybe after they finish their new cap
yeah, because it's kind of toxic in places.
a little bit.
Um,
Um,
I feel bad getting so much enjoyment out of something that killed so many people and
Chernobyl didn't
continues.
kill many people.
Well, people died. A lot of people died later after the fact, though, from the radiation, right?
No,
Hmm.
they evacuated the town almost immediately with that brilliant Russian efficiency they have.
Yeah.
And I think there's a total of 200 casualties attributed to Chernobyl.
Still a considerable amount. I mean, not like 9/11 numbers, but
Well, when you consider that the Fukushima reactor has currently killed upwards of like 3,000 people,
yeah.
and that's a modern day thing.
And that's with them keeping it under control. If that thing went up,
Yeah. Whereas Russia was just like, well, fuck it, everybody out of Pripyat, go.
yeah, yeah, they kind of buried how dramatic it was at the time. Those poor firemen didn't even know what they were going into. They all died.
Yeah.
So
One thing there was a picture. My friend and I were looking at pictures of Pripyat, and
so cool.
it was in winter, and so there's snow on everything, and I was pointing out, oh, the Ferris wheel. That Ferris
Yeah.
wheel is still radioactive.
Oh, I
It's like
bet.
it's this big metal thing that soaked up a ton of radiation. It's still hot. And my friend was like, "How do you know that? Like how can just from this picture?" It's like, "Well, I know it from a fact, but if you look at the picture, everything is buried in 5 inches of snow, but there's no snow on the Ferris wheel."
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
And it's
God.
just like, "Oh shit."
Well, they took in that inside Chernobyl, if I'm saying the name right, they took the radiation detectors and they went
You're right.
down into the room the firemen dumped their clothes, and he points the detector, and there it is. The thing's just going off the charts, and he's like, "Okay,
Let's leave.
yeah, that's enough. You've seen it. Let's go now."
Let's go drink some all of the iodine.
And vodka. Why not?
Vodka is actually good for slowing radiation poisoning for
That's
some reason.
that's what I've heard. I think it's just an alcohol thing in general. So your Chernobyl
But
podcast.
But yeah, no, the thing I want is like I want a post-apocalypse that's something interesting.
Yeah.
Um, I kind of liked. I never really played, but I liked the trailers for the Secret World that made it look like the apocalypse was just magic has decided that it's not going to hide anymore.
Yeah.
Um, Enslaved was a good far future post-apocalypse, but something like that, like in modern day, like what if the apocalypse is just that vegetation now grows at 100 times its previous rate and no one can explain why?
Yeah.
Like that'd be insane. That would completely
Alien
fuck over
plants.
our planet, and it would be just brilliant. We'd have cities that were tree houses.
It's almost Jurassic Park, like just
Yeah,
without
except bigger.
dinosaurs.
And no,
Man-eating plants.
yeah, no, yeah. And or I think there's a game coming out that's about it's like a survival horror game, but it's not zombies or crazy people. It's extra dimensional monsters that are coming through and picking people off.
Doom 3.
And what?
Doom 3.
Yeah.
Kind of. Uh,
Kind of like if you mixed that with Fallout 3, where you
okay.
actually are going around exploring a city, scavenging for weapons, and also trying to evade the spined tentacle beast that has pushed its way through a portal and is coming for your blood.
Cthulhu.
Cthulhu.
Okay, sorry.
Ooh.
I was thinking Metallica when I hear that word.
At least you pronounced Chernobyl right.
Yeah. How, do people mispronounce Chernobyl?
Chernobyl.
Oh, God. Americans. It's not English. Don't read it like English. Damn it. The
I always
fam
find this
ass.
bizarre. So do you ever read something like you see a couple words in Spanish or something, and you read them like you imagine they would be pronounced in Spanish, right?
Yeah. And then you're
Why the
wrong.
fuck am I saying Spanish then?
Yeah. Well,
Why am I
Spanish
not
is.
saying Espanol, which is
Yeah.
the word for the fucking language?
It is kind of weird that we feel like we need to create an English
And
version.
and it's not just us, because people in Spanish-speaking countries do not say English; they say Inglesia,
Yeah.
which is not the fucking name of the language. Like, why can't we just get together at a summit meeting and everybody can sit down and go, okay, we're going to say the actual name of your language.
Yeah.
Okay? Good. Everybody on board with this? Great.
And then we just decide that everybody must communicate in binary from now on.
Sure. I'm on board.
Um. So we've been going for about an hour and a half. Do we want to do a main topic, or do we want to just wrap things down?
I need to wrap things up. I've got a thing.
Okay. So I'm going to do my closing thing. Visit the Twitter, Gabe0083, or YouTube, also Gabe0083. Uh, you can do the Facebook if you want, but I've kind of just committed to Twitter at this point.
I like that. You can do the Facebook if you want.
Yeah, well, it's like I have like 10 people on there, and most of them are people on my friends list. It's just Facebook is only there so I can look at shit that people post and say that's cool. No actual.
That's sort of what I use Tumblr for.
Yeah. Um. But yeah, it's I kind of stopped posting these podcasts on YouTube because I don't want to reward people for not downloading the podcast. I want to funnel people into Twitter as best I can. So I'm sorry, not into Twitter, into podcast downloading methods like iTunes or whatever you use. iTunes is what I use. If you have an iPhone, it's very easy to download podcasts because there's an app right there. So use that if you're confused. But yeah, tell your friends if you know anyone that wants to be on the show, or if you want to be on the show, just message me on Twitter, and I will probably do it because I don't care who you are, as long as you're an okay talker. Did you want to plug your podcast?
Yeah, if you want to listen to, you remember that bit where I was talking about how awesome Hitler was? If you want to listen to more stuff like that,
We put on our mustaches before the show.
yeah, if you want to listen to more stuff like that, and also discussions of how orbital laser cannons will affect modern day politics,
Oh my god, if
you
Hitler had orbital laser cannons. Suck all the Jews into space. Oh no.
then you can find me at brownnoiseradio.tumblr.com and the associated SoundCloud account. I don't use the podcast download thing because I don't know. I guess I'm just lazy that way. And yeah, it's pretty fun. We spent a lot of time talking about. I think last week my friend and I went into it and we're like, yeah, let's talk about some of these news stories about the way the internet's evolving. And instead we spent an hour talking about how we would escape from a mad Russian billionaire that was trying to kill us. So that's the sort of thing you can expect if you come and listen to me.
Okay.
It's like this actually.
It's like our podcast where we say, hey, let's talk about games, and then we'll talk about
And then we sort of
Chernobyl. And
sprawl into other topics.
well,
But we mostly do games. And
did
we
I?
usually come back to Halo 2. Whereas on my side, it's, yeah, we're going to talk about politics. And we mostly talk about the news and current events.
Yeah.
But we always come back to Hitler.
Does everything come back to Halo 2 on your podcast, or is that
Actually, yes.
okay? Okay,
Sooner
good.
or later.
Hitler and Halo 2 always related.
You know how Hitler is like Halo 2, right?
I don't know if you're joking or not. I'm ready for an answer.
The plasma pistols were shitty on both counts.
Oh, okay. There you go. So it's kind of funny because I think
that joke doesn't actually that joke doesn't go through unless you know that Hitler commissioned his science division to build a plasma weapon.
Oh, did he actually? Wow.
It
Okay.
blew up.
Of course. Makes sense. Were these who was it that decided it'd be a good idea to put bombs on dogs, and then the dogs always return to their owners and like ah.
Uh-huh. Thank you, history, for just yeah. If you're ever feeling bad about yourself, just remember that you were not dumb enough to try to use dogs as suicide bombers.
Yeah, think about that. They don't really hang out away from their owners for very long.
It's like, look, there's bad people making loud noises. Go and touch them.
Yeah, right.
And
Like
the dog's
go
just
run
like,
the
no,
dudes with the
fuck
guns.
off.
Yeah.
Go eat bacon.
So I think I mentioned this last week how podcasts usually get derailed.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago, Jeff Gerstmann was away on assignment, and so he's kind of the host of the Giant Bombcast since Ryan Davis died, and because he left, they added in like music to everything, and they talked about carpentry for an hour.
I remember this, yes.
Oh my god, it was funny. And then Jeff came back and he's like, I was getting
what the fuck happened?
Yeah, he says I was getting all these emails while I was away, and they were like, what have you let them do to your podcast? And he hadn't heard it yet.
I do think that podcasts are at their best when the topic is not set in stone.
Yeah.
For example, now we're talking about the mechanics of podcasts.
Yes. And bombs and dogs and Hitler.
Dog bombs. Hitler.
I'll put on my Stalin stash, you'll put on your Hitler stash, and then we'll do a podcast.
I last Hitler thing, and then I actually do have to go.
Okay. Hitler podcast.
There.
The Hitler cast.
I remember once seeing a little YouTube thing that was just titled Hitler and Sex.
Okay.
And it was there was a video about Hitler and sex, and I don't remember why. But and I just have the theme song stuck in my head. But it's always in my head. There was an ad for a haberdashery here in Portland that it was a picture, the silhouette of Hitler's mustache, and then on the right, Hitler's mustache with a bowler cap, which looks like Charlie Chaplin. and the caption down at the bottom, it's the hat.
That's funny.
And it's like, yeah, fucking sold. Like, you see, Hitler is the best example.
Hitler mustaches are kind of like Bane's mask. You put them on anything, and it's like, oh my god!
Which is really disappointing to me because it used to be Charlie Chaplin's mustache.
Yeah.
And it was associated with this great comedian, and now it's associated with this great dictator, which is interesting because Charlie Chaplin was in a movie called The Great Dictator where he impersonated Hitler.
There you go.
And we've come full circle.
You notice that you could put a Stalin stash on anybody and nobody bats an eye, but you put that Hitler mustache on somebody.
That's because Stalin's mustache also looks like a German porn star mustache.
That's funny.
And we have no evidence that Stalin was not, in fact, a German porn star, so...
Uh-oh. It's a new conspiracy. Here we go.
Next week, Stalin and sex.
Yeah, that's our podcast next week. All right.
That's not our podcast next week.
Damn it. So I guess that'll be a show. Thanks for listening, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Yep. Good night. And recording stopped.
Yeah, I hope you recorded it because
okay. Actually, I want to see because I only remembered to start recording like a few seconds in.
I really don't care about leaving in the pre-show rambling. It doesn't bother me. I'm gonna hang this up.
Okay, hang on. I want to re-record something here. Um, can I get you to do the show intro?
Okay, sure.
Ready? Go.
Hello, everyone. You are
Stop,
listening.
stop, stop. I fucked it up. I didn't mute the other tracks, and it was recording you the first time. Okay, go.
Hello, everyone. You are listening to the Video Gabecast, episode 9. Joining me this week is Argus.
Oh, I'm not saying. Am I saying something?
You are now.
No, I'm
Keep
not.
it. Keep it.
I'm
Do
not
it
recording
live.
myself. They can't hear me.
Oh shit. Okay. Do it again.
See, it's what happened is that the first thing I have you saying is like your comment about yes, podcasting tips after I said technical difficulties. So
Oh, okay.
let's go back and we'll just
So you just want me to say that this is
we'll record up to there. So yeah, we need to lead into the part. So you do the opening and I'll say now with 30% less technical difficulties, and then
okay.
that'll be it. That'll be good.
Okay.
Okay. Go.
Hello, everyone. You are listening to the Video Gabecast, episode 9. Joining me this week is Argus.
This week with actually originally it was 30% less technical difficulties. I'm changing that down to 20.
I thought we had more this week than ever before. Well, no, because it's not echoey.
We're recording the intro 20
Again.
minutes after we recorded the show.
Yes. It's awesome.
Okay, that's what we're going with.
Yay.
Now I just move this and
It's gonna be ironic if I recorded it actually and I didn't need any of that, but I won't know till I hang up.
this is a better intro.
Okay.
If not, who knows? It's not good.
Well, I have two. I didn't know. I thought I deleted an old Skype recorder program, and I didn't, and it fucking
Sorry.
cannibalized it.
Okay, so what happens at the break? Does it sound right?